What was the worst reason a person got expelled at your school? Story 1. We had a student who committed suicide, which was horrible. Then, there was another student who was friends with that person and started getting random notes and threats against them, saying they were the cause of the suicide and that they were next. It began a large hunt to find out who would say such horrendous things to someone who had just lost their best friend. It turned out it was the friend leaving notes and threats to themselves. They were expelled, and from what I heard, ended up moving out of state. Story 2. We had a student in our grade get expelled and allegedly placed on the sex offender registry for a serious incident. In shop class, there was a closet full of wood. When the teacher went inside, this student locked the teacher in and started to harass him. He found the teacher's phone and took an inappropriate photo with it. He then sent the photo to the teacher's wife and daughter, all while informing the teacher about what he was doing. I don't know why no one else in the class intervened, but when the teacher managed to get out of the room, he got the school resource officer to arrest the student. That same week, the student managed to get into a football game, urinated in a bottle, and then dumped it onto a girl. This time, he was confronted by a couple of guys in the stands. The same school resource officer handcuffed him and took him away, and he was never seen again. Story 3. Had a race riot at our high school in 1978. It started on the baseball field during a dispute over whose turn it was to bat. The guy who had the bat in his hand got angry and caved in the other kid's head. They were of different races, and this set off a school-wide brawl. The kid with the bat was expelled. Story 4. We had a freshman girl in high school come to our all-male high school to give a speech with her dad. The entire high school was in the auditorium so they could bring awareness of leukemia, which she was fighting through. When she was speaking, one junior boy screamed out, "Show us your." He was expelled after that. Story 5. My best friend's brother was expelled for getting jumped in school. 2 or 3 guys decided to beat him up in the back halls of the school between classes. He didn't fight back or defend himself at all. He just curled up and tried to protect his head and stomach. He was expelled for being involved in a fight. Story 6. I put acid, the drug, in the teacher's coffee. It made worldwide news. The older teacher freaked out, collapsed, and an ambulance was called. The teacher was never the same afterwards. The student served jail time for attempted murder. This happened in Ontario, Canada in the late 1980s. Story 7. In 5th or 6th grade, my friend was self-harming and had carved the words "life sucks" into her hand. I'll never forget seeing that. She was immediately removed from school and put into a juvenile hospital facility. I never saw her again. She passed away a few years ago, when we were in our 30s, but I only found out through an obituary of one of her relatives. There was nothing else made public about her death. I hope she is at peace now. She was a really kind and caring friend back in those days. Story 8. A kid at my school got expelled for shaking his fist at a person in traffic, not for giving them the middle finger or screaming obscenities. They just shook their fist and suddenly, the administration kicked them out. This was after Columbine, and the person who complained said they feared for their life. Story 9. It was because her private photos were leaked. The boy who likely urged her for it and sent it around to his friends didn't get into any trouble, but she was expelled for having a picture like that circulated. Story 10. It was me. In my senior year, I moved to live with my other parent. There were only a few months left, so no one cared to make a new friend. Because of this, the administration viewed me as a Columbine kid. I was constantly being bullied about whether I was planning a shooting. When I, at 17, got fed up, I responded by asking, "Did you want me to?" and was immediately expelled. My parents threatened litigation if they didn't let me graduate with a high school diploma. The school gave me an assigned tutor and gave me the diploma. The summer of my graduation, a student held a summer school class up at gunpoint. Those administrators were in the wrong. Story 11. I've known 3 students who were expelled. One student was involved with a gang outside of school. It appears he was being harassed by a member of the football team. This student threatened to attack the school with the help of his gang. He was expelled and then arrested for bringing an unloaded Glock pistol onto school premises. Another student set the bathroom on fire. He ignited a toilet paper dispenser using a lighter he had brought into the school secretly. He was expelled and arrested for arson. Lastly, one student was discovered viewing inappropriate content in the bathroom. His intervention specialist went to check on him, only to find that he had made a mess over the bathroom stall and floor. He was expelled and transferred to a school designed for students requiring specialized support. Story 12. A friend was expelled because he brought a paintball gun to school. He had it in the trunk of his car because he was going to the paintball field right after school. A teacher walked by his car in the parking lot just as he opened his trunk to put his backpack in and saw it. Zero-tolerance policies led to his expulsion. Story 13. A kid traded insults with another kid. Keep in mind, the other kid started it. The other kid punched this kid. This kid didn't fight back, walked away as he was taught, and reported it to the teachers. The kid that got punched received a 1-week suspension. The other kid didn't, because the words he used were more mean than the other kid's words. The words. It seems that punching is acceptable now. Story 14. She was planning a bombing and shooting. I don't know how close she got to actually securing weapons, but since we had staggered lunch times, I know she planned on putting bombs in the cafeteria and picking everyone on her list off with guns. Scary indeed. Story 15. I don't know who, if anyone, got expelled for this, but I could only assume at least someone did. This was in middle school. The administration thought it would be a good idea to leave a flatbed trailer in the schoolyard for some reason, sitting on top of a hill. The hill declined towards the school, specifically the gym locker rooms. A huge group of kids started pushing it down the hill with a couple of kids riding on top of it. They would slow or stop the momentum of the trailer as it came down the hill, until it gathered too much speed and momentum, and the kids ended up bailing out and it smashed into the side of the school. I swear I have never seen a crowd split and take off quicker in my life. The gym teacher ended up coming out, but I was too far away to hear what was said. And by this time, I was transitioning into homeschooling, so I never really heard what happened. My sister goes to this school, and the last I heard from her, I think the hole is still there. The school is in a 3,000 population town and has super low funding, and this was like 6 years ago. Story 16. I went to a private Christian middle school with very small class sizes, like 10 people per grade maximum, so we were all pretty decent friends. One of my friends was always a little on the flamboyant side, but to this day denies being gay. But nobody buys it. Anyway, in 8th grade, he got expelled, and from what I have been told, on multiple occasions when he was in the bathroom, if another student walked in, he would tell them to lift their shirt because he wanted to see their abs. One day, the kid who was in there with him refused, and he wouldn't let the kid leave until he did. When he did finally leave, he told the teacher. I never got confirmation on this being true, but I believe it because he would ask me to show him my abs constantly, even trying to convince me that he was doing it so he could talk about it to a girl I liked so she would go out with me. Story 17. A girl was assaulted by her uncle and became pregnant. Her parents wouldn't allow her to terminate the pregnancy. She was expelled for being pregnant and engaging in sexual activity, even though it was known that she had been assaulted. The Christian school's actions were unreasonable. Story 18. A rumor. My best friend has dealt with lots of rumors being spread about him. He never cared too much, and the faculty knew that too and loved him because he was a very kind gentleman, just not very social. When the principal changed, though, someone spread a rumor that he said he'd bring a gun to school. He did not, and the principal believed it, having not known this was common for him and not knowing the student. So it was really sad for him to be forced to change schools because some girl thought it was a funny rumor. Story 19. A boy was 13 years old. He impregnated a 16-year-old girl in the girls' bathroom after skipping a double period of math. Oddly enough, I believe the teachers were concerned that he was missing vital education due to self-inflicted absence. Sure, that's what happened here. Story 20. I got expelled from junior high school for doing what a teacher told me to do. A female gym teacher saw my friend and me playing basketball together and called us over for a friendly chat. While we were talking, I was spinning the ball on my finger. It got away from me and crossed the threshold of the girls' locker room. She told me to get the ball. I reached over the threshold without entering and picked up the ball. There were no girls in the locker room because everyone was on the playing field or in the gym. The teacher went crazy. She started screaming that I went into the girls' locker room. She dragged me to the headmaster's office. She made up a crazy story and my parents were called, and they had to fly down to meet with the headmaster. Except for my parents being angry, I was so happy to get kicked out of that school. I hated it from the first of day. Thanks, Mrs. Terwilliger. You were unfair. Story 21. She was posting anti-Semitic memes on Discord and harassing a Jewish student in our year. She was also harassing Muslim students, but the reason why she got expelled is that the Jewish girl's parents threatened legal action against the district. Anyway, shame on you, Cameron, for tricking my friend into eating bacon. Story 22. This one kid at my high school got expelled and arrested just 2 weeks before graduation for selling LSD at school. He was like a nerd with good grades too, ruined his whole future for a few bucks. What an absolute bozo. Story 23. A student's father assaulted a teacher during a student-teacher night, and I didn't see him at school after that. I think it was just a punch over the desk, but it was because of his son's poor performance in school. His son's poor performance was due to his father hitting and abusing him. However, his son was also attacking every other kid, especially girls. The son deliberately ran over a litter of kittens with a lawnmower for fun and used that to torment girls. There was one day I was cowering under the seat in a school bus shelter while he was thrusting a javelin through the roof, trying to hit me. He could lie flat on the roof without being seen but could not do it from the back of the shelter, so his aim was bad, and I never got hurt. I'm honestly not sure what it was that got him expelled. I think the teachers were trying to keep him there so he had some influence that wasn't psychotic on him, but in the end, it just became too dangerous for everyone. Growing up in a mining town in the 1980s and 1990s was interesting. Story 24. I'm going to assume you meant the person did something bad, not a baseless reason. The phrasing in question. Update. It appears the original poster wanted baseless reasons, but still, enjoy this one. Had 2 kids play with flammables in our auditorium, burning it down. One kid supposedly had 1,000 counts of attempted murder, while the other was expelled not only from our school district but from all schools in our county. The school had to add weeks into the end of June and July to reach the required minimum days. Story 25. During the freshman year of high school, a guy and a girl were expelled for having sexual relations in one of the women's restrooms. She was involved in some controversial activities, including having a sexual relationship with her stepbrother, but none of us really expected sexual activities to occur at school. Story 26. The only person I remember being expelled was a kid in 7th grade for bringing a gun to school. This was before Columbine, and he wasn't going to actually shoot anyone. He brought it because he wanted to show off. Except that half of the kids in our school had had a gun since they were 5, and we had almost all grown up around them. No one was impressed, and someone reported him to a teacher. Because it was the only middle school in the county, he had to go somewhere else for 8th grade. He did come back for high school. Story 27. A girl was expelled because she had her older boyfriend call in a bomb threat to the high school. She did this so she could leave school to be with him. This incident happened some time ago. Authorities traced the call, leading to her expulsion, and both she and her boyfriend faced legal charges. Story 28. 2 girls were expelled for making a bomb threat during finals. A couple was expelled for inappropriate conduct behind the bleachers at school. They did not prepare adequately, resulting in significant physical injury, causing her to require hospital treatment. Story 29. Pregnancy. For some reason, my public school had a policy to expel girls who were pregnant and reached a certain point in their pregnancy. There was a girl in my high school class who got pregnant and had 2 babies, getting expelled each of those years. I don't believe she was ever able to finish school and graduate. Story 30. If we lowered the standard a bit, I got suspended for a lot of stupid reasons. I called my teacher Laura, her first name. I walked to the gas station after school. I had my hood up outside in the fall. I fell asleep in class and didn't wake up when the period ended. Still hate that school and principal. Story 31. Christian school. 2 students in the year above me were expelled for getting caught having sex in a car at a movie theater parking lot, about 10 miles away from the school. I always thought that was unjust. Then, there was another student the year above me who was quite obviously gay. Despite being well-liked by everyone, he wasn't expelled, but he was encouraged to leave. Story 32. 1. A friend, who was slightly eccentric, called 911 from a payphone near the high school at a plaza with restaurants during lunchtime. They reported a mass shooting with gunmen running around. 2. Two male teachers and one female teacher were suspended. The 40-year-old female and the 38-year-old male returned after a short absence, but the young 24-year-old male disappeared. Rumors circulated in the school that during a camping trip, some students discovered these teachers involved in a wild threesome.